Hi everybody, welcome back, and welcome to my bedroom where I'm currently filming this. Um, what happened in the past days? It was very interesting. On Sunday, I went to watch the Academy Awards in our local cinema, which always broadcast them, and I watched Lion and Arrival previous to the broadcast, and I loved them both. I loved Lion. Great movie, really go and watch it if you haven't. It's really touching. I cried a lot. And then Arrival, which is science fiction, I think, in a very good format. And yeah, and then we watched the Academy Awards, which I actually thought until very close to the end that they were quite boring this year. I have to admit that. I think the entertainment was, yeah, so la la. It was not great. But of course, within in the last 5 minutes, this boredom was turned into big excitement, because the Oscar for Best Picture was, as you, I guess, all have already heard by now, was given to La La Land, but it should have been given to Moonlight. And I think they did a great decision. I think that Moonlight deserved it much more than did La La Land, because honestly, I watched La La Land and I thought it was sweet and everything, but I think it's quite overrated, to be honest. And I think Moonlight by far better as a candidate for Best Picture. And well, they all were candidates, but as a winner for Best Picture, let's put it like this. But of course, it felt just terrible, wasn't it? Because they all went up, they already gave speeches about how much they loved their wives for their support and things. And then you saw people scurrying in, and there was a hustle and bustle, and I was already like, okay, I think something went wrong, because that doesn't look good. And then they announced it, and I just felt terribly sorry for the people of La La Land. But then on the other hand, they won a lot of Oscars, and Emma Stone got an Oscar, which I think is great. I really love Emma Stone, and I think she deserves it. But yeah, but I think the people from Moonlight, well done. It's really a great movie, and I couldn't say anything against it. But yeah. Again. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them also won an Oscar for the best costumes. Well deserved. I really love the costumes, and you cannot say anything against them, and it was just great that Clint Eastwood got the Oscar for it. What else about the Oscars? Yeah, as I said, I thought the show was pretty lame. I thought Jimmy Kimmel was okay. It was very, very politically laden. It was very, you could really sense the political tensions within the room. And I think that's generally great. I think it's a good platform to criticize immigration policies of the Trump administration. But for my taste personally, it was just a bit too overladen with political tension as well. But especially because President Trump wasn't watching the Academy Awards. Of course he was, because he watches everything, I guess, where he's mentioned, because he's a narcissist, and that's what they do. And he has also been very busy lately with watching Fox News and quoting them or misquoting them, telling people about an attack in Sweden that never happened, and Swedish people actually asking, what the fuck are you talking about? What else? Yeah, he went golfing 6 times within a month of his administration, of his presidential time, after having repeatedly criticized President Obama for golfing, criticizing that he should rather be, fixing the country. And the country was never as unfixed as it is now, but he still finds the time. So great. But that's probably good, because probably every minute that Trump isn't in the White House is a good minute for the American people. But yeah, he has lots and lots of things to do without doing anything. He is really fixed on repealing Obamacare without offering any sort of real solution. So that's great. I always do that too. I always, get rid of a thing that I don't know how to replace with. That's, I think, a great thing. I always throw away my shampoos because I don't like the smell of them before I buy any new, and then I run around with greasy hair for 3 days. So completely understand that. Of course, with the debate about pretty much every country again. There has been a debate, of course, about all sorts of political right-wing parties and their ascension in not only America, but in European countries and all over the world pretty much. And I have repeatedly talked about it and written about it because I think it's a topic that strikes me as very incomprehensible, because I really that is something I really don't understand, how people can hate other people merely based on their sexuality or on their gender or on their beliefs and principles in terms of religious beliefs. And I think it's just very interesting because Trump and many other leaders have talked about the walls and fences they're going to build. And you also have it with the Brexit. I mean, I know many people try to argue that it has economical reasons, which is stupid because economically it's a disaster, and other reasons that they just invented, I don't know, just to justify it for themselves. But I think most people can agree that the Brexit pretty much was about not having to take immigrants and stopping the flood that was not coming to Britain anyway. So there is this process of people being scared about the other, you could say. And I think that is very interesting because, I mean, it's a phenomenon that we've seen in history all the time. It's nothing new. It's not as if, this was a new process happening in the world. It's just more globalized, I guess, in terms of that we know what is happening in China or in America, for that matter, and in other countries, or in Egypt and Saudi Arabia and Iran and Iraq and things. But I think it just strikes me as very interesting that that people apparently don't seem to learn. And with people, I mean like the people as in humanity. That in order to, avoid making enemies and alleviating tensions, you have to work on an inclusive community rather than an exclusive community. And I'm talking not about countries here necessarily or religious groups, but I'm really talking about any gathering where people come together, whether that is a classroom or countries or within a country or just a group of people going. Whenever you exclude someone, you make yourself an enemy or a potential enemy, because no one likes to be excluded, no one likes to be treated like dirt, and I personally think that the human mind is very fragile, and much more fragile than most people would probably think. When you're in a position where you have money and you have status and you have a good healthcare system and you're just content in most areas, you would think, how can people do that? How can people say that? How can people be terrorists, or how can they, I don't know, eat animals that they've killed with their bare hands, or I don't know, think of reasons. But I think it doesn't take too much to actually start thinking like this, because when you take away pride and opportunity and humility of people, then you just you create outsiders who can cause a potential threat, in as much that they have been treated in a way that makes them angry and that just broke something in them. And I know this is a very complex topic. I'm not going to elaborate on it too long because I'm not sure sometimes. And I think many people feel this way. I think it's so difficult to express your opinions and your principles these days. and making them sound right, if you know what I mean. It's like very often you want to say something, but you just don't find the right way to get it out. Because and I agree with that criticism in any way, which I don't think is good either, it is completely has a completely negative note to it. You know, that is true too. If you criticize, you're automatically a racist, and I don't think that's generally a good thing. But, and I'm digressing here anyway, but all I'm saying is it just really strikes me that, again, in times of difficulty, people are divided, because I think sticking together in good times is very easy. But I think so many people have still not realized that the harder it gets, the more you have to stick together. And with sticking together, I don't mean your own folksman or your own family or things, but with everyone, with other people as such. And yeah, I think that was very sad, and then you can see how it develops, especially in the US now, which is very, very sad in terms of that America praised itself and was praised and also considered to be the country and world and system for freedom and free press and democracy. And now it's just all falling apart, and this is something I definitely hope is going to steer away from. But we will see how it is going to develop, and in the meantime we can watch the Academy Awards and laugh about things that happen, like the misplaced envelope, though I don't think the La La Land people laughed about it for too long. But yes, so this is pretty much what happened so far in the past days, apart from me finishing a translation on a book that I've been working on for a year now, so that's good. And yeah, but we'll see what the world and Trump and other people have in store for us in the next weeks, and yes, we'll see.